Hey everybody, Chris Rett, Certified Financial Planner here at Modern Wealth, here to discuss 5 questions to assess your retirement readiness. Let's get into the show. So 5 questions we want to look at to assess our retirement readiness are, do you know what you'll do with your time in retirement? That's typically the first thing as a retirement planner we always want to look at. Number 2, do you feel like you're missing time with family and friends? Number 3, is work impacting your health? That's an important one. Number 4, will working more years impact your ability to retire happily? Looking forward to that one. And then number 5 is, are you financially prepared for retirement? The first one is, do you have plans for your time in retirement? As a retirement planner, this is one of the first things we want to focus on when dealing with our clients is, what is time going to look like after you retire? You know, we have 2 camps really. Is the first camp is every day is a Saturday and I'm not going to wake up to an alarm clock. The second one is maybe more purpose driven. You've always wanted to start that second business, or you've always wanted to volunteer at a church or a nonprofit, or even an emergency response unit, maybe a first responder, something of that nature. Maybe you've wanted to take a part-time job you've always been curious about, or study a new skill or a new language, or go on an experience, travel. It really is important to focus on what you want to do, and we see that a lot. Is that if you really start to have that time filled and you're thinking about it and you're visualizing and you're spending a lot of thought and feelings on it, may be a good time to start looking at retirement. Number 2, do you feel like you're missing time with friends and family? Again, this is one of those, take an inventory. Who do you like spending time with? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it coworkers? Maybe you're more of an introvert, and maybe you want to spend time by yourself, and going into the office is emotionally and physically draining to you if you just really prefer some time alone. This is something that you really want to take inventory of. Are friends and family scheduling trips without you because you have to work and you feel that you need to work? If some of these are ringing a bell to you, it really is important to start looking at your retirement plan, because life is too short to not spend time with the ones that you love. It really is important to evaluate these things so that we, as financial planners, we can open that up to you to say, hey, it's guilt-free time with your loved ones. Things come up all the time, and people pass away prematurely. You could argue that everybody that passes away is somewhat prematurely. We'd like to keep them around forever, but that's simply not the case. And so because of that, it really is worth looking at how many times reasonably you think you will get to see loved ones in retirement. As you're approaching retirement, it's important to consider, if family is something that you love and enjoy and cherish, your kids, if you have kids, and their kids, so your grandkids, they're going to start living their lives and they're building their families as you had taught them to do. And so time isn't always as available. And so you do really want to take the opportunity to get more of that time back, and that can be done through proper planning, because at the end of it, time is the only resource that we can't get more of it once that sand runs out of the hourglass. So if you feel like you're not spending enough time with family and you do want to spend more time with friends, it could be friends as well. And if you're fortunate enough to where, we work at a great place, we love the coworkers we work with, that's great too. But if you don't feel that way and you want to spend more time with friends and family, reach out to a planner and get that looked at, because that's a really, we find that brings a tremendous amount of joy to people to be able to spend time with the people they want to during their retirement. So number 3, is work impacting your health? This is another important one, right? Are we working just to fund our retirement and never actually getting to experience our retirement? As we see it all the time, if stress and unnecessary anxiety and looming deadlines and depression from feeling like you're missing out, these are all going to affect your health in a negative way. As we have a popular saying around here, health is your wealth. As once you've done all the planning and you can retire the way that you want financially, it really is about living out a healthy retirement, because we see retirements cut short a lot of times due to health. We've all heard the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years, those aren't really attached to an age or a dollar amount. It really is attached to health. The go-go years are right out of the gate of retirement. You're your youngest that you're going to be in retirement. You're financially abled the most that you're going to be. You're not impacted by health that much. That's really the go-go years. And so what we want for our retirees is to make sure that those go-go years last as long as they want them to be. Is that if we've done it right, is that you're not working, you're not adding stress, because stress doesn't necessarily, or some of these health concerns don't necessarily show up on the front end of retirement. It's often on the back end. So maybe we're cutting our retirement short by the number of years that we're living, or maybe we're cutting our retirement short by now we're having to pay more medical bills because we didn't take care of ourselves initially. And this is a PSA to everybody in this boat. There's a lot of them. And so if work is impeding your ability to be able to take care of yourself, or worse is if work is really adding to health concerns that you have, it's time to reevaluate what you're doing. Is that, and maybe your financial plan isn't something where you can completely stop working, but maybe work in a less stress-induced environment, or work at something you enjoy that brings you happiness. This is really where you want to take inventory of this. Make sure you're doing everything necessary to take care of your health, because your health is going to be, if not your money, is going to be the next best indicator of a happy retirement. Number 4, will working longer impact your ability to happily retire? This is probably the most common one that we come across, is that, hey, that looming pay raise, that looming bonus, additional days paid off is right around the corner if you just stick it out a little bit longer. We get caught up in this trap, is that, hey, I'm leaving money on the table for my retirement if I don't work longer. And what we like to do as planners is look at your plan and say, okay, let's say you have an end of the year bonus that you want to hit, and then you work long enough to get that bonus. Usually it's paid out the next quarter, and you start doing the mental math, and you're like, well, what's 3 more quarters, 9 more months, and I'll do that. Plus my work needs me. I'm in a bunch of projects. Transitioning that would be a nightmare. I can stick it out for 9 more months, and then it's rinse, wash, and repeat. It's another 9 months, and then another 9, and then you look back and it's years and years that you've added working when maybe you didn't need to. What we like to look at is, are those extra dollars adding to your retirement actually adding to a happy retirement? Is an extra bonus or extra paid time off or an extra pay raise over an extra 2 or 3 years, is that really going to move the needle on a happy retirement the way, say, an all expense paid vacation with your family to a destination you've always wanted to visit? Maybe it's Hawaii, maybe it's taking the family, the kids and the grandkids to Disney World, or some European vacation you've always wanted to visit. We find that those experiences have a lot longer lasting impact on a happy retirement than, say, an extra or quarterly or an annual bonus does. So it's really important to keep that in mind as you're planning for this retirement, is that we've seen clients take their family on an all expense vacation and they talk about it for years. If somebody gets paid a quarterly or an annual bonus, that happiness usually lasts through the weekend, and then that alarm clock happens on Monday and you're back to work. Is that if you feel that you're in this camp, this is an extremely important one, because we're all guilty of it. Is it something you really need to evaluate? I'd like to share a story with you as well about, hey, I'm too important to walk away. There's a famous quote on the internet, is that if you pass away, your employer will find somebody to fill your position within a week. And I think this quote is often misinterpreted. I think it gets misinterpreted as that the employer is the bad guy, they're heartless, they don't care about you. I don't think that's the case. I think what we need to look at is that you are extremely important to your work, and your work does care about you, and they care about your well-being. But no one person is ever bigger than the employer or the entire company, right? There's just too many mouths to feed. There's too many people relying on that company to be successful to let it go down because of one person. This is best exemplified with Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs died of pancreatic cancer in 2011. At his time of death, he had this cult-like following within Apple, and even outside of Apple, is he was, and for a lot of good reasons. Steve Jobs was a genius by most people that knew him. He was a visionary. He was a masterful marketer, and he rebuilt Apple really 2 times. According to stockanalysis.com, he had rebuilt it to 350 billion at the time of his death. And there was a lot of commentary surrounding Apple at that time. Was Tim Cook going to be able to continue it, right? Is that Steve Jobs was everything to Apple. He was Apple at the time of his death, and it was worth 350 billion, a large number at that time. Well, as of this recording, Apple has not only gone on to succeed, it's gone on to thrive, not because of his absence, but in lieu of it. It is now valued at $3.2 trillion as of recording this show, which is almost a 10x from the time that Steve Jobs passed away. So again, it's not meant to say you're not important to your company. You certainly are. It isn't meant to say that you don't provide value or that people aren't going to miss you. They certainly are. But if you think that you are there to serve the company, you really ought to look at reprioritizing and reframing that perspective to say, hey, am I killing myself working for a company that will still succeed without me when I could be spending that with my family, friends, loved ones, doing what I want to do? And number 5, last but certainly not least, are you financially prepared to retire? Now, this is one that as financial planners, we probably see a lot. We're most familiar with is that, are you financially ready to retire? And that answer is always a complicated one. And the reason for that is everybody's plan is unique. No 2 plans, we tell clients this all the time, is no 2 plans are exactly the same. Maybe somebody gets an inheritance. Maybe somebody wants to spend more money in retirement. Maybe somebody has more family than somebody else, or they have saved more, or they were better in investing earlier in life, or they did tax strategies and have more tax-free wealth, or maybe somebody has health concerns that impair their retirement. So when it comes to the answer, are you financially prepared enough? That is oftentimes a very loaded question. But if you feel like you're not, please do reach out. Please reach out. Financial planners such as myself and others here at Modern Wealth would love to answer that question, because it is such a fulfilling process walking through somebody that isn't quite sure of their retirement and showing them that they can be able to retire. As I had the benefit of working with a client here recently who actually broke down in tears during her most recent review because she was scared to even bring up the topic of retirement. And we built in a plan of, she's a teacher and she's looking to retire, in July rather than when she was going to do it the following year. And work had just gotten to be so stressful, and aging is starting to creep up. And so we looked at it and we said, absolutely, you can retire as soon as you want to. And the relief that she had moved her to tears. And as a financial planner, that is so rewarding. But it's something that we want to extend to everybody, is that we see plans all the time. People come to us, and finance has this almost embarrassing connotation that everybody feels they need to know all the answers, and that isn't the case. That isn't the case when you have a medical procedure. That isn't the case when you take your car into the body shop. That isn't the case when you have a leaky pipe. But for some reason, everybody feels the need to have all the answers surrounding their finances, and it's impossible to. That's why we're here. And so if you feel that you don't have enough to retire, or if you feel like you're close and you need some validation, please feel free to reach out. We would love to be able to assist you. So want to really thank you for tuning in. Again, I want to revisit some of these questions to consider, the 5 questions to assess your retirement readiness. Do you feel like you know how you want to spend the time if you were to retire? Do you feel like you're missing time with friends, family, and other loved ones? Is your work impacting your health? Will working more years impact your ability to retire more happily? And then finally, are you financially prepared to retirement? We look at these, we do this full time. It is important to study these, really think about them, think about how they impact your retirement. And if you do have questions on any one of these and you are nervous about reaching out, please do not hesitate. We're here to help. Once again, I'm Chris Rett, certified financial planner here at Modern Wealth Management. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe.